we are in the final month of the year. Only a few more episodes of the New York Sports Rapid Rundown left in 2023. So let's make it a December to remember. And as usual, we're going to be talking the hottest 3 topics of the week in Big Apple sports. And you know how we do. We always have one of the best voices in New York sports to join in on the discussion. This week, joining me in studio is the executive producer of the Maggie and Perloff Show on CBS Sports Radio, a host at WFAN, the one and only EJ Stewart. EJ, what's up, man?
What's up? Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here, man. How's it going? How you been?
It's been good. It's been good. Early mornings, new show.
Yes. Well, first, I got to congratulate you on that because obviously I've known you through that and working at WFAN and CBS Sports Radio, and now you're the executive producer of that. So you're getting up early in the morning, doing the show with Maggie and Perloff. How's that experience been for you so far? It's been good?
I'll say it was great until I had to wear a Patriots jersey yesterday.
Oh, that's not good.
As a Jets fan, I had to pay off a bet. That wasn't the greatest. But no, we have a fun time in the morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., anywhere, affiliates all over the country. It's been a really great time. Maggie and Andrew are fantastic. So yeah. It's been a great journey so far.
Yeah. They're a great team there. I miss doing updates for them in the afternoon, but glad you're there in the morning, getting up early. Just can't have you wearing that Patriots jersey again. You don't need that in your life. We don't need that.
Yeah, we're going to have to renegotiate some contracts to make sure that don't happen again.
We're going to have to renegotiate that. All right, EJ, we got some interesting topics to dive into this week, including the Mets making moves in free agency before next week's winter meetings, the Knicks advancing to the quarterfinals of the in-season tournament. But first, we got to talk about a team you just mentioned. 4-7 New York Jets, that is your team. Now, last week on the show, we talked about the Jets, EJ, and we talked about hope surrounding this team. There hasn't been a lot of hope around the Jets, and it's been another disappointing season this year. This week, on Wednesday, we saw Aaron Rodgers return to the practice field. This is just 79 days after he tore his Achilles in the season opener. Now, Rodgers, just so that people know, he could be activated in 21 days from his return to the field. So I got to ask you this, EJ. Should Jets fans be excited that number 8 is back on the field at One Jets Drive?
I mean, excited for what? I mean, we came into this season with Super Bowl or bust. It wasn't 3 months Achilles recovery or bust. It wasn't be the fastest athlete to recover from a serious injury or bust. Like, that wasn't the situation. I've always anticipated this Jets-Rodgers marriage is something that Rodgers said, of words he used a couple days ago, which is, terms being mutually exclusive or not mutually exclusive. So Rodgers has been on this, kind of in vendetta about how he can still have it, and all these people are wrong about how I ended things in Green Bay. I'm going to show that I'm still the guy. And Jets fans, and for the Jet franchise, they're trying to win a Super Bowl. So he has one agenda, Jets fans, Jets have another, but if he plays great, Jets win. So all things considered, that's fine. This is not related to the Jets trying to win a Super Bowl. I don't know how Aaron Rodgers stepping on the field 3 months after the Achilles tear helps them get any closer to winning a Super Bowl. So it's hard for me to be excited because it has nothing to do with the team goal. And right now it seems like Rodgers is more about himself than the team.
So it's interesting, too, with that right there, which kind of is going to lead me into my next question, right? If you think it's about him in terms of returning to the field and what that is. Yeah, it's drummed up conversation. We're talking about this right now. You talked about him trying to change that narrative from coming from Green Bay, but he's also made its public crusade to beat the odds and return from this injury earlier than expected. And I want to say this to be clear. I've torn my Achilles. Not Aaron Rodgers, I'm not a professional athlete, but it is not an easy injury to come back from, okay? Just want to say that. Now, we know some Jets fans, maybe not you. They want to see a Christmas miracle. They want to see him return to NFL action this season. But should the Jets stop this admirable fight by Rodgers and protect the 40-year-old quarterback from himself when he's trying to return to the field?
Absolutely. I mean, this would be organization malpractice if they let Aaron Rodgers, 40 years old, find an offensive line that's been mismatched, that's been beaten up, broken down, and been overpowered by most other opposing defenses on that terrible field at MetLife Stadium. It would be malpractice to put him in that position to potentially hurt himself. I'm not a doctor. I don't have the medical degrees to know whether or not Neil Alcatraz, or whatever hell his name is, if his surgery is great or if it's not great or if it's okay for him to go out there. But I do know this. Any team, whether it was an Achilles injury, whether it was just a sprained ankle, if you have a franchise quarterback and your team is out of contention, you would not be putting them on the field to play in meaningless football games. If Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs were out of it and Pat Mahomes had a sprained elbow, guess what? As soon as they're out of playoff contention, We're seeing Blaine Gabbert take that field. We're not seeing the Chiefs lay it all on the line for meaningless games because Patrick Mahomes wants to prove a point. The Jets the fact that they're allowing Aaron Rodgers to really run this organization has been a problem since day one. So much of the struggles with this team all rely on him, really. Think about it. I mean, you had Deion Sanders saying that, I got my luggage with me and it's Louis. Well, Aaron Rodgers brought his luggage with him and it's like North Face or it's Swiss gear or whatever. I mean, we're talking about Alan Lazard can't catch, now he's inactive. We got Nathaniel Hackett can't call plays. Zach Wilson had to stay on the team and be QB2 because Aaron Rodgers wanted to develop him and have him be his little buddy. Like, so many of the problems that Aaron Rodgers presented to this team, with him not even being on the field, has been one of the reasons why the Jets have struggled this year.
I think that's a fair point. And then we're getting to this point now. We're talking about him coming back here. And I'm really questioning this. It's like, who really wants this? Like, I mean, I know you, and I know you're a rational Jets fan.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if you are a rational Jets fan, do you really want this? You hang in this hope, even if they win the next couple of games and they get to 6 and 7 and their playoff hopes are alive.
Right.
Who really wants this? I'm not.
No.
Sure.
Again, for Jets fans, this was a season of a lot of hope that the Jets would make a playoff push, potentially go to a Super Bowl. They were excited for Aaron Rodgers, but the excitement was contingent on the fact that the Jets would finally get out of this terrible playoff drought that they're in and really make a run at it. Aaron Rodgers, what he may do, if he steps on that field and he can somehow play in an NFL game after 3-4 months from Achilles tear, it's remarkable. It's something we've never seen before. It just doesn't do anything for the Jet fan. It doesn't do anything, again, for the goal of the Jets or the people who root for this team trying to win a Super Bowl. So I don't know what we get out of it. I mean, he gets something out of it, and I'm sure from the history of sports and kind of how we look at it from that perspective, yeah, they'll talk about this for a long time, but it won't do much for Jets fans.
Yeah, we'll see what happens within the 21 days from him returning to the practice field, if anything happens at all, if Aaron Rodgers plays another game this season. Okay, we're going to talk about the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks, they advanced to the knockout round of the in-season tournament. They will play the Milwaukee Bucks this coming Tuesday. I got to ask you this, because I don't say this clear, I've enjoyed the in-season tournament. I think it's been fantastic.
So have I.
I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm glad you've enjoyed it, too.
Yeah.
Can they beat the Bucks? Because the Bucks have been a tough matchup for them. Do you think they can beat the Bucks and make it to Las Vegas for the semifinal round?
I mean, this is, to me, their best shot to do it, right? I mean, I think they're playing the best ball they've played all season. We're starting to see Josh Hart and others come around. The Bucks have just remained a very tricky matchup for them. I think the Knicks have trouble with Milwaukee's size up front. Brook Lopez defending the rim combined with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Not only defending the rim, but also defending the perimeter, defending the wings. I mean, he can really do it all. So they present a lot of problems defensively for New York. I think the one thing that would be hopeful for the Knicks, I think if you're a Knicks fan, you feel optimistic, is how well they're shooting the ball of late. You're seeing Jalen Brunson shoot the three ball at an elite level. We're seeing Dante DiVincenzo shoot the ball at an elite level. We're seeing other guys come around. So if the Knicks can space the floor and not have to be constantly trying to attack the rim and go over, 7'1" Brook Lopez and 6'11" Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they can hit those threes, then they're gonna have a good shot. They're playing really solid basketball. But this remains a very tricky matchup for the Knicks because of Milwaukee's length up front.
Yeah, it got a lot of length and size, and that has caused problems for them in the past. We'll see how that shakes out on Tuesday. I want to ask you this about Josh Hart, because he came out early this week and he said that he didn't feel included in the offense. Hart, he struggled with a shot to start this season. He's been a bit hesitant to shoot it from downtown. Are you concerned with Hart not being in rhythm in the Knicks offense right now?
I'm not concerned, because I think Josh Hart's one of those guys that you signed him to be a playoff performer. You signed him for crunch time when it matters most. I don't think you really should be concerned about how he's playing in October and November basketball games. Now, it hasn't been that great. He's played much better of late. He's tied his career season high in 2 of the last 3 games. So he's playing much better of late. He seems to be playing with more confidence. It feels like those comments maybe kind of woke himself up. I don't know if I love Tibbs saying that basically he's being used the same as he was last year, when that's not true. No numbers to suggest that he was playing this many minutes at the 4, or that he was getting this little time to handle the ball, this little usage, and yet Tibbs is saying it's been the same old, same old. That is not the case. But no, I think Josh Hart, he's a guy that you're not going to see the box score or look at numbers and say that he's playing well. It's more about his impact on the game. I think his impact hasn't been felt the way you would want, but he's a player that I feel very confident about once you get to March, April, maybe even May. I'll hold off on June, because June is usually NBA Finals, Eastern Conference Finals time. But during that time, that's when you know Josh Hart's going to be a top-notch performer. So I'd be more concerned then than I would be right now.
Right now. So that you're not tripping over that just yet. I got to throw in one last Knicks thing for you. When we talk about this in-season tournament, okay, Would it mean something to you as a Knicks fan if they win the in-season tournament? Or you're like, nah, it matters, but it ain't the NBA championship?
No, of course it would matter.
Okay, so it will matter for you, and you think it would be a good thing for this team?
It would be a great thing. Look, I think the in-season tournament is about creating playoff-type environments, creating moments early in the season that you wouldn't normally have, right? So the Knicks are a team that we're anticipating being in the playoffs. I don't think that it would be somehow like a diss or somehow would be irrelevant if they were able to beat 3 or 4 really good teams on their way to winning an in-season tournament. It would be just like if there was in college basketball, if a team wins the Miami Invitational, wins the preseason NIT, you say, well, that was a really cool thing, and it's good to see this team playing well at this point in the season. It's a snapshot of the season. And It's a long season, we understand that, but if the Knicks can go on a run here and somehow win this thing, I say, why not, right? I don't get the idea that, the Knicks, they'll be celebrating like as if they won a championship. It's like, so they should lose these games and they should not play hard, or because it becomes always classic, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right.
The Knicks go out there and they get crushed by Milwaukee. It's going to be like, you really thought you were going to win an in-season tournament, or you thought this was going to be your thing. If they win, it's the Knicks were taking this way more serious than everybody else. You can't really win.
You can't win. For me, it's simple. If you're getting the chance to play, especially for the young players on the team, if you're getting to play some meaningful games with some stakes early on, that is a playoff-like atmosphere, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think that's a pretty good thing, and I think Knicks fans, basketball fans, should definitely be encouraged by that. Okay, EJ, let's talk some baseball. On Wednesday, the Mets, they signed former Yankees pitcher Luis Severino, one-year deal, $13 million. We know the Mets need arms to fill their rotation. Do you like the signing of Severino for the Mets, and do you think the righty's a good fit for them?
I don't. I mean, look, I think that the Mets, what we saw last season was their inability to get enough innings from their starters and how it basically destroyed their bullpen. The bullpen already was going to come in shorthanded because of the loss of Edwin Diaz due to the WBC. So, to me, if you're looking at starting pitching, I want guys who are reliable, guys who I know can give me innings, go deep into games. Luis Severino is a guy who's always hurt. I mean, he's been hurt pretty much every year of his career. Even the years he's played well, sometimes he's dealt with injuries. So it's a low risk, it's kind of a low risk, maybe high reward move. And maybe there are other moves coming after that. But this doesn't excite me at all. I mean, Severino's really struggled last season. He didn't seem to have have the same command of his pitches. The stuff was there, the miles per hour were there, but he just seemed a little lost. So can the Mets find him and figure him out? Maybe. But I don't see how, even if he plays well, you got to pencil him in to miss 5 to 10 starts. I don't know how that really helps the Mets.
And you just said this is not a move that really excites you, which brings me to the next thing here, because next week, winter meetings.
Yep.
And all the baseball fans are going to have their eyes on what's going to happen. So the Mets, they've been rumored to sign some big names. Do you think the Mets need to sign a big name or trade for a big name during the winter meetings? And if so, which big name player do you think would be, we'll get into the holiday spirit here, a perfect Christmas gift for the Mets fans?
I mean, I don't know if they need to sign a big name or trade for a big name, but I think it would help a big deal, obviously. If I was looking for guys out there are 2 guys I would be looking at. And I know the Mets need bats, but it just seems unrealistic given where the Ohtani and Soto sweepstakes are going, that's going to be something they can do. So they're going to have to go back to pitching. I think Yoshi Yamamoto will be maybe the first guy I would look at. He's 25 years old. There could be a familiarity with Kodai Senga. We've seen the Mets have success with another Japanese import. Adding him to the rotation, I think you kind of get away from that stench you had of the failed experiment with Verlander and Scherzer, getting a young guy in here who maybe could be entering the prime of his career. And maybe, or if you can get Yamamoto, a guy I would look at on the trade market is someone like Corbin Burns. David Stearns has a relationship with Burns. He has a relationship with the Brewers organization. I don't know if it's a good relationship, but there is a relationship. There are ties there. And Corbin Burns, again, is a guy that is a guy who can give you a lot of innings. He is a guy that can go deep into games. And he could be a guy that could be a really nice 1-2 punch with Kodai Senga. We kind of have to figure out what the Brewers are doing. Are they still competing for playoffs? They just lost Craig Counsell. Are they trying to look to rebuild? So maybe Burns is someone that comes loose in the trade market. So those would be some guys I look at. I know there's some fans that are looking at someone like Blake Snell. I'm not as excited about that. That's a guy that has only pitched 180 innings twice in his career. You know, I know he's a Cy Young winner. I know he's been an All-Star. But again, I want someone who I think can eat innings and be reliable for the whole 162-game season.
Yeah, I think either of those names, I mean, you mentioned, would definitely help the Mets there. Mets fans definitely hoping that it's a good Christmas for them in terms of, you know, adding some players that can improve upon what was a disappointing 2023 season. That is E.J. Stewart, the executive producer of the Maggie and Perloff Show, also host on WFAN and CBS Sports Radio. EJ, man, glad you were able to join me here on the New York Sports Rapid Rundown.
Thank you for bringing me on, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, we'll have to definitely do it again. I hope things get better for your Jets, man.
Oh, yeah.
You can get some hope. I'm hoping for that for you.
I'm not holding my breath on that, man. I'm not. But let's see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. That is EJ. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.